Hello and welcome to the Worksmart Dynamics webinar that addresses receiving goods and services for purchase requisitions and purchase orders. The purchase order receipt is the final sign-off from the business that the goods and services have been provided to Uniting and that they are now okay to be paid. If we haven't got the goods or services, we should not be doing the goods receipt notifications. Otherwise, we have the risk of the invoice being paid. You don't have to wait for the invoice to come in before receipting. What you are doing through processing a goods receipt is validating that the goods and or services have been received. We'll be starting this webinar and the process from the Preparer dashboard, which is again where we think most people will start their day-to-day jobs. And you can see I've got my dashboard here and I'll select all purchase orders. When we're doing a purchase order receipt or receiving or a GRN notification, we are always doing it from the purchase order, not the purchase requisition. An important thing to note is that the purchase requisition number is not going to be the same as the purchase order number. The preparer will get notified of the purchase order details once the requisition has been approved and the purchase order has been issued to the supplier. So I've clicked on the purchase order screen, and from here, if I know my purchase order number, I'm able to just type it into this purchase order field and filter on that. I'll be using the purchase order from the purchase requisition that was raised in the previous webinar. This particular order was for 5 laptops at I think $1,500 each. So the purchase order that was generated for that was 039813 test. If I click on that, you can see that this is the purchase order. When we're now ready to receive the goods or services, we click on the ribbon bar, Receive, Product Receipt, or Generate Product Receipt. And it populates the Posting Product Receipt screen. There are a couple of fields here to complete to process the product receipt. In the overview, we need to populate a product receipt number. So this is a free format field, and our suggestion is if it is a delivery and we have a physical goods receipt or a docket number, that we can input that number there. If we don't have a physical goods receipt and we're receiving a service, our suggestion is that we process the product receipt field with today's date and your initials. So for example, for this one, I would type in 03/10/2017 18 DH. I can then scroll down to the lines. And here, this is, again, the lines that were in the purchase requisition have been transitioned to the purchase order. And we can see here, as we tab across, this is the order. So the order I mentioned before was for a quantity of 5 at $1,800 per unit for a total GST inclusive amount of $9,000. What we do here is in the quantity field, we have the ability to change the number of units that have been received. So if we've received all 5 of these laptops as part of a delivery, obviously we can just click OK and that receipt is done. If we've only received 3 of the laptops and we only want to be able to process an invoice for 3, we change the quantity from 5 to 3 and then we click OK. And you can see there it's generating the product receipt. The operation has been completed. Once we've generated a product receipt, in this journal section, we can now see all of the product receipts that we've done, and here they are here. And to see the details of this particular receipt, we click on the lines, And again, in this example, you can see that we've ordered 5, I've received 3, and there's a remaining quantity of 2 that we can receipt. If I go back to the overview, what we do also have the ability to do is to correct a product receipt or cancel a product receipt. As intuitive would tell you, the cancel product receipt will just completely cancel that receipt in its entirety. If we want to post a correction, I'll show you how we do that. We click correct and we scroll across, and you can see, as you know before, we received a quantity of 3. If we want to change that I only received 2, you can see that I've changed the quantity to 2, so the quantity to be reversed is 1. Sorry. And we're ready to go, so we click OK. And what that will do is update the purchase receipt and the purchase order so that that correction can now be receipted in the future. It adds the value back to that purchase order to be able to be receipted. And that's all that's involved in processing a product receipt. So again, this was the receipt for the standard order that we raised. That was for a quantity of 5, value $1,800. If I exit out of there and we go back to our main screen, what I can then do is select the second purchase order, which was 039814 test. This was the blanket order for waste services for $4,000. So again, you can see it's generated the purchase order. I am now in a position to receive. I want to generate a product receipt. Again, this mandatory field, the product receipt number, I will just use today's date. And my initials. This field is unique per PO per supplier. So if I was processing 2 product receipts on the same day for this particular supplier, I would have to do a -1 or a -2 for the second receipt. I can now scroll down and I go to the lines. I scroll across, and again, the original order value was 4,000. If I want to process the first month's invoice for this, let's say it's $380. So I process a quantity, $380, and I click OK. And now we've processed a product receipt for $380, which will allow an invoice for $380 to be processed against that invoice. Again, I can, within this journal section, product receipt, I can see the product receipts that have been done. I can cancel or I can correct. If I want to generate a second product receipt for this particular order, again, put in today's date. And let's say the second order, you can see it's updated the quantity to the remaining balance, which is $3,620 because we did the $380 receipt. Let's say I change that to $520 for the second invoice. Click OK. And again, we're now processed so that we can process and accept a second invoice for $520 against that particular purchase order. If I exit out and go back to the Preparer dashboard, I'll show you how to receipt a multi-line purchase requisition. So in this example, we'll be processing goods receipt for a multi-line purchase requisition, purchase order. So I'll be selecting a pre-set up multi-line purchase order, 9690. Test. So from here, we can see we want to click Receive, Product Receipt. We're generating a product receipt. The product receipt number, again, would be today's date, 3/10/2018-DH. If we scroll down to the lines, we can see here that there are two lines in this particular order, line 1 and line 2, both blanket order lines. And as we scroll across, you can see line 1 was for $3,000 and line 2 for $1,500. So the processing of receipts for multi-line purchase orders is exactly the same. The key thing to note though is if you're not receiving both lines at the same time, you need to delete the line that you're not receiving. So in this example, let's say I only want to receipt a proportion of line 1. Let's say I want to receive $500 of line 1, and I don't want to receive any of line 2. So what we need to do is we highlight line 2 and we delete the line. So what we're doing, we're not deleting the line from the purchase order at all. What we're doing is we're deleting that line from the purchase receipt. So now you can see it's just got the quantity of 500 for line 1, which was the value that I wanted to receipt. I now click OK, and it will generate the product receipt. If, however, I forgot to delete the second line, so let's go through and I'll generate a second product receipt. I'll go down to the lines, and I just accidentally receipt all of the line, the remaining value. So what I've now done, I've now receipted everything on that purchase order, which may or may not be valid. I can then go into the product receipt, and you can see the product receipt that I just did. I can look at the lines. Well, that was the first one. So this is the second one that I just did, and you can see that I've received line 1 and line 2 in its entirety. So from here, if I wanted to cancel that, I did that in error, I could cancel that whole receipt, or I could do a correction. In this example, it's completely wrong, so I'll process the cancel. It will give me a warning. Do I want to cancel the receipt? I click yes, and that product receipt has now been reversed, and I can go back in and generate a new product receipt for the correct amount. So I'm now back at the purchase order, and the key message here is, again, you need to delete the purchase receipt line for anything you don't want to receipt. And if you do make a mistake and receipt the whole lot, as you can see, it's very easy to do a cancellation or a correction. So as you can see in this one, we've now processed a number of product receipts. We've receipted a standard purchase requisition. We've receipted a blanket purchase requisition. We've receipted a multi-line blanket purchase requisition. And I've also shown you how to correct and cancel the receipts that may have been done in error. I'll also validate the receipts that have been done against a specific purchase order. This brings the goods receipt and purchase order receipt webinar to a close. I thank you for your attention and look forward to sharing the invoice reviewing process with you. Thank you.